What's up, expats and travelers alike? I'm Josh with Expats Everywhere, and today we have an interview with Nick from Algarve Addicts. We're in Fado right now, and he's gonna tell us all about the Algarve. Let's go.
After being here for 21 years, I feel that I'm kind of qualified to show people around the Algarve because I love exploring. And I mean, when I first arrived, I basically, first 6 months, I had a bicycle, consciously. And I stayed in Cavoeiro, which is, if you don't know where it is, it's a little place, a little fishing village, which has become a tourist village.
Yeah.
And I was 30 years old, and I had a bicycle for the summer. And I just cruised around all these dust roads, and I really got to know the place so well, even more so than probably people who've been living there for a while, because you don't take dust roads when you're driving a car.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, sometimes I just lie in a field in the middle of the night on my bicycle and just look at the stars. I loved it. It was a real break.
Yeah.
And then I got a car, and I started exploring around the Algarve. And every weekend, because I didn't know anybody here, and I just go out and I just go into all these little villages like Alt and Monchique and all these beautiful little villages. And I just go there. And as you're driving into these little villages, there's always 5 men sitting on a bench, and they're looking at you, and they look at you as you go past. It's kind of disconcerting.
Right.
But you get used to it.
Yeah.
So, there's a thing about staring in Portugal. Have you seen that?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Yeah, like, people stare in Portugal,
well, okay,
and it's
so
okay.
You've been here for 20 years, so what does that mean to you?
Well, it's funny because if you go to England, I'm not from England, I'm from South Africa, right? But if you go to England, people get very aggressive. If you stare at them, they stare back at you.
You make eye contact with them, they want to scrap.
Exactly, they want to scrap, that's the right way.
Yeah.
And here in Portugal, it's just totally okay. Everyone stares at each other, and it's not offensive.
Right.
So, yeah, it takes a bit of, it's these small things that take a little bit of getting used to. When you come to Portugal and you're in a small town, you will get tracked big time. If you're a foreigner, you're a stranger.
Yeah.
And I remember I moved to a place called Algarve. After I was in Cavoeiro, I moved to a little place called Algarve. And I was there, I went into the bank the next day to get my bank account sorted. And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, you the new guy." I was like, "Seriously? I've been here 48 hours, bro."
Yeah, they've already started talking about you.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was happening in South Africa at the time that you decided, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to make a change?
Well, I was working in corporate IT, and it was 1999, 98, 99, and the dot-com explosion was going, and Cape Town was getting a little flavor of that. It was all kicking off in San Francisco and places like that, obviously Silicon Valley, but we were getting a little bit of that. And I was enjoying it, loving it, was moving from job to job and doubling my salary, and I was like, wow, it's great. And suddenly, I was in this job, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what this job's all about. It was like really, it was credit card payment gateways, and I was selling that kind of stuff. So it was like, and I was like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. I don't know what I have to do. And my fiance had just broken up with me. I thought, you know what? I'm open. And my cousin had been saying to me for the last 2 years, come and work in my restaurant, come and manage my restaurant in Cavoeiro, in Portugal. And I was like, I've been to Portugal, it's nice, but it's kind of a step down from Cape Town, because Cape Town's corporate, making money on the road. And I thought, what the hell? I'll come for 6 months. So I did, and it's been 21 years. So.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing place. I love it.
So your intent coming here was more short term.
Yeah.
Okay, and then 21 years later, do you have citizenship?
I do. Yeah. Well, I've got residency. So, but I'm married to a Portuguese woman, and I got a Portuguese daughter, so I can get citizenship very easily. It's just I don't really enjoy a bit of red tape.
Sure.
So I'm kind of have to do it. It's on my list.
Okay. On my list. So right now, kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but in your mind, you're actually 2 feet in.
Oh yeah, in my mind, I'm here. Okay. I mean, I'll always be South African at heart.
Sure.
But South Africa's got its own fair share of problems.
Sure.
And
like every country.
Exactly. Yeah. This place is amazing for families, and also I feel that it's growing rapidly.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 years ago when I moved
even
here,
before our eyes, we've been here 7 months, and we're like, things are changing. Like, this is cool.
Always, yeah. Everywhere you look, there's building and there's moving. And some people don't like that, other people do. But it's like, for example, when I moved here in the year 2000, it was the opening of the first shopping mall in the Algarve.
What?
And now there's like hundreds. Well,
what's the name of it?
It was called Algarve Shopping in Gia.
Still open or no?
Still open, yeah.
Okay.
It's going well.
Growing, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Growing, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we're taking a look at your early stages in being here, right? And what were some of the transition things that were difficult? What were some of the obstacles? I know it was like 20 years ago, but do you remember some of those things that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's now that I'm working with my YouTube channel and stuff like that, and I'm speaking to people who are moving over all the time, you can almost define a timeline of people. When they arrive here, there's psychologists who can break it down into 7 different phases. I'll break it down into 3 because I'm not a psychologist. But essentially, when you arrive, it's all roses. The smell of the sardines, everything.
Honeymoon period.
Honeymoon period, exactly. Yeah. And it's awesome. And you're like, wow, I love it so much. It's great. And then after a while, you start realizing that there's those things that you could do at home really easily. Take a lot more effort here. It's the language, it's the culture, it's the bureaucracy, doing the government stuff, all that. And that's okay in the beginning because it's still kind of exciting, and then it starts to wear on you. And after it depends between what situation you're in, after maybe 2 years or 5 years or whatever it is, that gets to a period where you suddenly, okay, I've had enough. I'm going to leave, or I'm going to push through and really, really focus on making this my home.
Right.
And I did that about 4 years in.
Okay, 4 years in.
About 4 years in. And I was like, and also I met my wife as well, so that really helped a lot.
Sure.
So that gives you a lot of level of stability, and it's just amazing.
So you help other people make these transitions. Do you notice that some of the obstacles that you faced back 20 years ago aren't really problems now? Maybe because of internet or the level of English language has improved. Although I think Portugal's been pretty good at English for a bit now.
Absolutely, yeah. Portugal's
decades.
Probably one of the best
in Europe.
Best in Europe, I would say. But I think there's the same psychological phenomenons are happening now. But obviously, as you said, right now the internet, there's tons more information. Like you guys with your D7 course, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That really helps people. But they still kind of need a helping hand to say, go there, go there, go there, go there.
Sure.
And I think that's very important. And that's why, it's amazing to have all these YouTube channels, people helping people, because, it's not a faceless corporate, you don't really trust.
Right.
You can actually develop a higher level of trust just speaking to people on YouTube.
Nice.
Which is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what are your plans with your YouTube channel? What type of content do you show? And how are you currently helping people?
Okay. Well, if I can go back a little bit. So
sure.
I used to... I've been doing digital marketing here in Portugal for the last 20 years. So I've always been interested in YouTube and videos and making videos. And I did a couple of websites for companies who created videos. And I was like, wow, this is fun. I really enjoy that. And then I started making my own just on my phone and things. And then in 2014, I opened my own, I've had a couple of YouTube channels, but I started making videos about activities in the Algarve because I wanted to be niche, right? It's like, okay, what to do in the Algarve?
Yeah.
So I go paddleboard. I love paddleboarding and I love hiking and stuff. So I do all that stuff and film it. And basically last year in November, I had 82 subscribers after all this time. I was like, oh, okay, that's not much. It's so hard to break into YouTube.
It really is, yeah.
And then Veronica, my friend Veronica, who runs another channel here as well.
We just interviewed her, yeah.
Yeah, she's great, right? She's amazing. She's so bubbly and wonderful.
Yep.
And she said, Nick, look what I did on YouTube. I got like 2,000 subscribers. And I said, wow, this is amazing. And she was doing great stuff, and she's amazing on camera. So.
Yeah, got a great personality. It shines through.
Yeah,
right.
Effervescent.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So she said, Nick, make a video about where people should live in the Algarve. So I did, and it's like 160,000 views right now.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I went from 82 subscribers to about 10,000 now in the last 6 months.
Yep.
And so my mission, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, okay, that's the impetus I need to turn this into a business because I really want to help people because I can. And I remember a long time ago, my brother-in-law who lives in Lisbon, and he's quite a big wig up there. And he said, Nick, you've got a unique advantage. You're English, you're living in Portugal, use that.
Yeah.
And I never really knew how to use that. So it's basically 5 years since he told me that. And now I'm thinking, you know what? I'm using it now.
Yeah.
And I love helping people. It really helps, it brings a smile to my face and it makes everything worthwhile.
So a lot of people, I'm sure, are watching this because they want to know what's happening in the Algarve. So let's talk a bit about what's happening in the Algarve. You made a video talking about the things to do, the best places to be in the Algarve. Can you kind of give us some bullet points real quick on what your favorite places in the Algarve are and what some trends you're currently seeing with what's happening down here in expats?
Yeah, okay, so we've got a major influx of Americans wanting to come over here. Whether they do or not in the long run is to be seen because it's all a COVID kickback. Everyone's sitting there and watching YouTube and thinking, God, I really want to go to Portugal. I want to get out of my life. And yeah, people are moving here big time. I mean, thousands of Americans are moving over here. Obviously, thousands of Brits as well are coming over here from the UK because it's just such an amazing place to be, and we've got this outdoor lifestyle. So
right.
when you're looking at the Algarve in particular, people who know nothing about the Algarve, a lot of people seem to think in the past that the Algarve was one resort.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah? Have you heard that before?
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. But it's 150 kilometers wide as the crow flies. And it's quite interesting. If you paddle along the Algarve on a stand-up paddleboard, like I've done twice.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that.
You should join me. That's 160 kilometers.
Okay.
If you cycle from one end to the other along the coast, it's 210 kilometers or 214. If you hike, if you hike along the Via Algarviana, it's 300 kilometers. So anyway, 150 kilometers from end to end. And it's a lateral settlement, a linear settlement. So there's lots of different villages and towns all the way along. So it's quite different. It's not like a city where it's a metropolis.
Sure.
And I don't think people get that in the beginning. And
sure.
It's like last night I drove out to Bergamo, which is right in the west near Sagres. 120 kilometers there, 120 kilometers back. I might have gone to Lisbon. I might as well have gone to Lisbon.
Right.
But the trend, I think, Lagos is amazing. A lot of people, and especially the younger set, are coming to Lagos because it's vibey and it's cool and it's amazing and it's fun. Lots of cool bars like this, actually, craft beer bars, and which I love. So there's a lot of people moving to Lagos, and there's also a lot of development apartments, like really luxury apartments that are selling for like $500,000. People are coming in, buying them, and they will be able to resell them at a profit in a few years because it's growing, this place. It really is. But not everybody wants that. A lot of people want to go and renovate an old Quinta in the background.
That's right.
Is that what you prefer?
A lot of Americans, I think, prefer that. Yeah. I mean, there's some people who want the creature comforts of home, and they want to like transplant what their home was like in the States to here, and that can be done, right? You can have that type of like modern looking house, but then there are some that like the old world charm of Europe and the Mediterranean, and that's what they want to buy and they want to renovate, which I think it does end up helping Portugal. Absolutely.
But I mean, even a big new development will help Portugal as well, because there's Portuguese developers as well. So what you can do as well is you can actually buy a house, an apartment, and have all the creature comforts, and you can be right next to the old town.
Yes.
So, but obviously people get quite politically charged about that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We see it. We see it in the comment section.
Yeah. So there's Lagos, and then I was actually just been in Cabanas and Fuzeta in the eastern Algarve, which is very different to the western Algarve. Western Algarve is full of cliffs and everything, and eastern Algarve is just the Rio Formosa lagoons and beautiful stuff. So it's a different environment. And Fuzeta and Cabanas are old, small villages that now have got some quite luxury developments coming up, apartments, blocks, and they're sort of mixing in quite well. As I said, that's a politically charged issue, so let's not go there. Yeah. You can get your creature comforts and you can get the old town. And then Faro has been amazing, like right where we are now.
Yeah.
Faro recently, over the last 5 years, has just really grown up from and places like this is amazing to see, because it's like restaurants like this and bars like this are popping up all over the place. There's some really cool little spots.
Yeah.
And beforehand, Faro was like a university town, still is, and it wasn't that attractive.
Right.
People would just basically arrive on the plane, scoot right out.
Yeah, and this is the stigma that I call it a stigma, but I hear people still talking about Faro in that way. But you just said over the past 5 years, things have changed or are changing. Kaylee and I, when we first got here, our impression was, and we were here actually 10 years ago too, but we don't have very good memories of it. Yeah. Not that they were negative memories, but just our memories not very good.
I have negative memories. I mean, like graffiti everywhere, and I'd be like, oh, this place is terrible. Why would I come here? And a lot of people had that perception. Yeah. And now you can see, I think people need to come and re-look at Faro, because it's regenerating itself from the inside, and there's some really amazing places. Like down in the old town there, amazing restaurants.
Well, this is what I was going to say. So we arrived from the train station, and then we came in, and we were staying in the old town, but we were also coming in as tourists, right? And then this week, as we've been walking around, we've noticed actually there's probably two Faros. There's this tourist kind of historic center, but then there's the place where Portuguese live, or more Portuguese live, and like there's normal life going on. It's not so centered on tourism, but it's real life. Yeah. So are you finding that expats, when they move here, they're staying in the historic center, or they're going to other places that it's just more like normal life, where the preschools are and the secondary and primary schools are, and universities and that type of thing?
Look, I mean, it's great. If you're coming here on holiday, get an Airbnb in the old center, and it's great, and you can experience the club. But if you're coming here to live,
Yeah.
You need to live in an apartment with a lift and modern conveniences and things like that. And if you're coming with a family, sure, you need to be schools, you need to be close to schools, and you need to be close to shopping centers and all that kind of stuff. So make your life easy. If you live in the old town, so first of all, you can't park.
Yeah.
Secondly, and how are you going to get your shopping from the shopping center to the thing? Look, if you go to the market every day, and that's great, and you can pick out your old fish and stuff, that's wonderful. But in reality, we've all got busy lives, and you want to get ahead. You don't have the time to go to a market. If you're retired and you want to renovate an old Kinta or an old little apartment inside the city center, and then you've got the time to go to the market and do all that stuff and walk around. That's great.
Yeah.
So it depends where you're coming from. I think it depends what type of person you are, what your circumstances are.
Okay, so you touched on something that I've got to dig into a little bit. You're talking about cars and not being able to park down in the the historic city center. So let's talk about cars. Do you need one in the Algarve?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's what I was quite interested in. I got a lot of comments saying, I don't want to have a car, And I was like, why wouldn't you want to have a car? I mean,
that's where me and Kaylee are. We don't care for cars, yeah.
But why is that? Is it an environmental thing? Or?
Oh, no. Oh. I mean, we do like the environment. Yeah. But I said, no. Like it was a bad thing. No, yeah. I think the thing for us is there are all these costs that are attached to a car, and there's this responsibility, and we just don't want to be burdened by having a car. So for us, living in Porto makes sense because Porto's super walkable. The public transportation works really well. The metro pretty much takes you anywhere you want to go, but if not, the buses can, or you can call an Uber and have someone else drive. But yeah, I think it's that. I know that cars give you much more freedom. You're not stuck on an airplane schedule or a train table or whatever. So that's just us. But I get the sense down here in the Algarve, you need a car because there's so many cool little towns to go to, but you need a car to get there.
But exactly what you were saying, like in Porto, you don't need a car.
Yeah.
If you're in Lisbon, you don't really. It's actually detrimental having a car because you got to pay for parking. You got to try and find parking.
Yes.
It's just an absolute hassle. But in the Algarve, because it's a country-fied area, and it's also because it's so spread out, you need a car. I mean, look, you can get by if you really are committed to it.
Yeah.
There's a train line going all the way across the Algarve.
Yes.
There's a train line going up to Lisbon. There's buses and stuff, which may or may not keep to their schedules.
Yes.
And then you've just got to adopt the shrug and say, well, I'll get there a little bit later than I thought. But if you're doing business and ease of use of a car here, if it's a yes or no answer, I'd say yes, you need a car.
Okay, and how much would you reckon like a year would be in terms of expenses for the car? I assume like buying a car, how much does that cost?
Well, it's much more expensive than anywhere else in Europe.
Okay.
And the reason being, just correct me if I'm wrong on this, guys out there, because is that when I arrived here, there was this sort of urban legend that Portugal have always had a tax called ISV. It's called ISV now. It used to be called something else back in the day. And this tax is, in those days, it was 26%. Boom, on top of IVA, on top of VAT, and everything. So your car in Portugal would cost 26% more than any other car in Europe.
Okay.
And Portugal joined the EU, and the EU said, "Look, guys, you can't have this tax anymore." And the Portuguese guys said, "Well, no, we're earning a lot of money out of this tax." And they said, "Okay, fine, we're going to fine you if you keep this tax." So the fine that they get levied from the EU every single year is much smaller than the revenue from the tax.
Sure.
So the Portuguese government was like, But like I don't know, and that tax has been coming down and down and down and down, and it's so if you look online, you can find an ISV calculator.
Okay.
That you can see, but generally, cars in Portugal are much more expensive. If you want to go out and buy a car somewhere else and bring it back here, you'll still be levied that tax because we have to matriculate it, as we call it here, or register the car.
Yep.
And you'll get fined that tax. But there is a loophole where if it's your own car and it's a second-hand car, you can bring it in without paying that tax.
Okay. All right, so let's kind of zoom back out and talk a bit more about the Algarve. Can you give us 3 places that you really recommend people should visit on like a scouting trip? They're interested in the Algarve region. Where should they go? To scout. To give variety. Right?
Yeah, okay,
to give
cool.
variety.
So we start right in the east. Tavira is a great place. It's an old town, a lot of history. It's on a river. The only problem is it's a little bit far away from everything else.
Okay.
So, but it's a beautiful location. So Tavira, number 1. Number 2, I'd say this area, Lole, Faro, Villamora, around here. No, a lot of people don't like Villamora because it's very touristy and it's basically a resort. But you can live there and you can have a great life there all year round. Lots of people all year round. Because one thing you got to remember about the Algarve, it's highly seasonal. So in the winter, this place dries out completely.
Yeah.
I love it because it's peaceful and quiet. But if you're young and vibey, you'll be bored to tears.
Okay.
So that area around Lule, so use Lule, and then there's sort of Saubrage and all these beautiful little places around in the hills. It's beautiful. And then Lagos.
Okay. Why Lagos?
Because it's just got this energy, and it's a lot of young, it used to be a lot of young surfer backpackers there, and it's growing up, and there's a lot of, and the expat community in Lagos are really outdoorsy. They surf, they hike, they bike, they do all this kind of stuff. And I was just there last night, and everybody's outdoors all the time. You try and get people paddling here in Lule, I'm going to say they're like, I've got a bit of a hangover, or I've got to do this. Out there in the West, they're much more outdoorsy, which I enjoy. But it's also a little bit detached from the rest of the Algarve because it's far down the line. It's an hour there from Faro Airport by car.
Right.
But it's got all the amenities. You got all the shopping centers and whatever. So.
Okay. So in this project that we're doing, this next 90 days, we're going to visit every region of Portugal, and we're going to try to link up with different collaborators and talk to different people that are living in that region. Mm-hmm. So you're essentially going to be the representative of the Algarve right now. Tell us why someone should choose the Algarve as opposed to the other regions.
Well, let's look at the other regions that you're choosing. I mean, generally people go to the Costa Prata, or the Silver Coast, which is this stretch basically from Lisbon all the way to Porto, right?
Yeah.
And up there it's beautiful, it's great, it's not as touristy as down here, and it's a little bit cooler. So, it depends on your own choice, I think. Lisbon's amazing, but it's busy here. Mm-hmm. I personally don't like gridlock and traffic jams, and you got to try and get across that bridge. They're also expensive as well. People think Portugal is cheap, and it is cheap outside of Lisbon and Porto, but it's not that cheap in Lisbon. I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. And also here in the Algarve, we've got some really expensive restaurants. So personally, I love the Alentejo, but that's like a desert. And I love that sort of, so peaceful and quiet, and olives and wine and just farmland. That's beautiful. But
we're going there next, actually, and we just hope not to catch on fire because it seems like the heat just keeps going up there in the region. Yeah, I mean,
even here in the Algarve as well, you're right. I was just thinking on the way here that you need three things in the Algarve. You either need a pool, or you definitely need a pool. If you don't have a pool, you need to have air conditioning in your car for sure. And you always take a water bottle wherever you go.
Yep.
Because the heat is a thing. And everyone thinks it does get hotter as you go further south, but even in the interior, like Castelo Branco around there and Coimbra, it gets really hot in summer because the further away from the ocean, you get less moderating influence. So you get highs and lows. So
that's right.
It can go up to like 40, 45 degrees there sometimes. So,
right.
But not as hot as Seville. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. How has living abroad transformed your life?
Yeah, geez, I don't know, man. Because if you think about it from my personal point of view, it depends how you look at life. I mean, if I had stayed in Cape Town, I probably would have been on the corporate ladder. And so there's the thing, right? When I came here, I was corporate ladder, and I was doing all this, money, go out, restaurants, etc. in Cape Town. And I came here. And one of the first weekends, I was working for my cousin in his restaurant, and the chef there was an old Dutch guy, expat, married all these Portuguese. He married one Portuguese lady. He had a big extended Portuguese family as a result. Yeah. And he said, "Nick, come to my house this weekend." So we go there, and there's this old mother-in-law, and she basically went down to the market and bought like thousands of sardines, literally thousands, and he was putting them on the fire, on the barbecue. And she must have eaten 25. This old lady of like 60, whatever, just chowing. So, and it was just that wonderful feeling of like amizad, like friendship. And I just thought, you know what? This is what life's about. It's not corporate ladder and everything. And I think a lot of people get that.
Right. Nice. Yeah. So you're not caught in the rat race.
No, not at all.
I like that. I think a lot of people are trying to escape the rat race. And I think
there's no rat race here.
Yeah, exactly. Portugal's the perfect place. Yeah, down here. Yeah. Maybe in Lisbon.
Big time, yeah.
Not Lisbon. So much in Porto.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to check out Nick's channel, the Algarve Addicts, he does a lot of stuff about the Algarve specifically, activities to do, places to go, right?
Yeah.
So please check that out, and we thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Let's get moving.